Hello, you incredible friends. This is your pal, Edwards here speaking. Welcome back to another one of Edwards' international interviews with winners across the world. Now, we've got one of my wonderful friends with us who's an amazing lady, a powerful leader. She's had an incredible corporate career. She's a speaker, author, mentor. She works with top companies like Microsoft. Maria Padisetti, how are you today?
I'm really good. I love that intro, Ed. Now I'm going to have to live up to that one.
Oh, you do. I got to say, for the sake of the audience, we're quite close friends off camera. I got to say,
Yes.
Maria, you're an amazing tech CEO and you've built an incredible company and everything. What's it been like for you?
Wow, it's been a journey, Ed, a very, very good journey. And as with any business, we've been going for 18 years and we've had our ups and downs, but right now we're going to a pretty good phase. Partnerships have been really key for us. As you've mentioned, Microsoft is one of them. But the most important thing, a lesson that I've learned in all of these years, is the fact that your team really matters the most. It took me a while to work that one out. Once I got that, I've realized it's made an impact. And I'm not going to delve into the questions that you might ask in future, but the reason we exist as an organization, Ed, and we were very lucky just pre-COVID. We redid a lot of our values and the vision and the mission. I could not have picked perfect timing. We didn't predict this. We had our senior management team go and do a day-long workshop and we redid the whole thing. And the reason we exist is to help organizations realize their potential. And that really matches very well with me as a person, because personally, my goal is to help people realize their potential. And for every individual that I touch or come into contact with, realize that anything is possible if they put their mind to it. That's my personal goal.
Well, I think it obviously shows. Your results are incredible. And I want to actually find out more. We've got a great international audience watching us. And I just want to ask you, Maria, what have you really learnt during COVID? What has your own experiences and your clients taught you from the situation?
Wow. Well, first of all, planning is important, but in a situation like this that is almost unprecedented, as everybody says, no matter how much you plan, you can't plan for all surprises. So I guess one thing is to have a really good plan in place, but also have almost a disaster recovery plan. I know that's a term that's used in IT, but if you could think of the worst case scenario, you kind of have to plan for that too. And the other thing that I've learned is I realized that we were pretty good with the team, but during COVID, the lesson that I learned is I actually, as a leader, got to know my team better. So COVID has brought our team closer together. It's very weird. Physically, we're further apart because everyone's working from home. We were one of those organizations that was, because we're in technology, it was very easy for us to just switch to work remotely. Pretty much in 24 hours, all of our staff started working from home. But we have gotten so close as a team. We've introduced game events like we do once a week. We have games that we play with our team. We have a weekly session where I, as a CEO, actually talk to the entire team. And we've got staff in different countries, so we bring everybody in. So we've got about 3 different countries that we're across, and we have everybody come in through Teams, and we have a really good conversation. I've gotten to know my team to the extent of who that person really is, their family, and we've done some pretty special things for the team. And I've realized how important it is to be that close to your team. And when we were in the office, I was so busy that I was in and out of the office. It's not that I didn't care about the team, but I've really elevated that level of care to another level. And that's what it's taught me, that you really have to cherish your internal team and your customers more so than ever before.
Oh, that's incredible. And I got to say, I'm with you there. I couldn't agree with you more. And isn't it funny how COVID has physically separated us, but made us emotionally closer? I couldn't agree with you more.
Oh, it's interesting. Like I thought I knew a lot, even like I've got direct reports in the team, right? And I know them well, but I know them now at another level, Ed. Like I've had the time to be truly present in the conversations with my team members. Because in the past, I would be present, but then you get distracted, right? Because you've got the next meeting to run into, I have to jump in the car and go somewhere. But now, even though the meetings are virtual, I'm actually there with them. So I listen, and I listen at another level that I've never listened before.
Wow. And I think it's incredible because I tell you what, I love this whole working from home concept. It's good for everything. It's good for our time, and
Yes.
the environment. I was going to ask you, Maria, what big trends do you see coming into the post-corona world? What are the things that you think are here to stay?
Working from home is here to stay. So I don't remember the exact statistics. Just this morning I saw it. I think it was the Australian Financial Review that published some stats. And I think more than half of the population would prefer to continue to work from home. Some people do want to come and work in the office, but majority of people want that option to work from home. So I'm pretty certain that that one's there to stay. Like even in our team, we're going to start bringing people back to work, but I think it's only going to be on roster and we're going to give them the flexibility to work from home. I've had a team member already ask me if I can just come in one day a week, etc. So that's going to stay for sure. To be really honest, productivity has gone up for us because people are a lot more effective. You're saving on travel time. So that's here to stay. The other one is the trend on people being careful around cybersecurity, because all of a sudden we've opened up almost, if you like, you've got a computer now sitting at one of your staff's houses, right? And you don't know if you have not given them the devices, if you have not given them the PC, they're using their home computer. So what's on that computer that could potentially come into your work network? So that's something to think about. So security is going to be, or cyber attacks, etc., is going to be on the rise if we're not careful. So we need to be more protected now than we were ever before. So I reckon those two things. And technology, there's going to be more and more. Sorry that I'm talking about technology, that's my background. But in terms of trends, I think things around, we're getting customers asking about automation. So how do we make things much more efficient? How do we give our staff, because people have started, again, like I said in the earlier question, people have started truly thinking about their people and their team. So how can we make their lives easier? What could we give them that's probably a lot more interesting than the mundane tasks that we used to give them? Like, could we automate those? So we're getting a lot of requests more than ever about digitizing the business. Funny that people are using this time, because a lot of people are using this downtime. We haven't had downtime, but this downtime to really think about how to re-engineer and make their processes effective and make their entire business much more efficient and profitable.
Yeah, I think that's extremely well said. And I know even from the Australian government as well, the Australian government is saying exactly that. What you're saying, it's an opportunity for businesses, not just in Australia, but globally, to restructure, cut out the fat and become more lean and efficient. I think it's great. I want to go back to security for the moment, because that concerns me as well.
Yes.
What are the top 3 things you recommend to everyone, like working from home, to upgrade their security? What are the top 3 things you would say?
It's interesting. The first thing that I'm going to tell you is so basic, yet sometimes forgotten. And that is a very, very good antivirus solution on your computers. Every computer on your network, by the way. Nowadays, every home has a network because they've got kids, wives, everybody all on the same network. So to make sure that you've got very good antivirus protection, not free, please pay and get a really good solution. That's the first thing. Second thing, whether you're a large organization, and the funny thing is this advice doesn't matter whether you're an organization with 20 people or one with 2,000 or 20,000, the same advice applies. Second one is if you are using a Windows machine or Macs, whatever, you have to update. You know how they release the patches and updates? Please make sure that those are applied. Those are super critical to make sure that you get those done. And then the third one is, it's called two-factor authentication or multi-factor. So what that means is if you're, for example, logging into your Office 365 portal, instead of just entering the password, turn on a solution called MFA, where when you turn on the password, it then sends you a text message and you have to enter the code in that text message to really enter. So it's 2 ways or 2 steps before you are able to log in. That now more than ever is very critical. It doesn't matter what you're using, Teams, Zoom, if you can turn on that, it's very, very, very critical. So those are the 3 things.
That makes sense actually, because I noticed LinkedIn, I could be wrong here, but I think LinkedIn now does that as a mandatory.
Yes.
So is that right? So I found...
It's not mandatory. You can turn it on. But I personally, for all of our customers, especially since the announcement last week by Scott Morrison, by our Prime Minister, have to absolutely turn that on everywhere. We're going to all of our customers. Majority, almost 99% of our customers have that turned on. But we're actually requesting and almost enforcing that to happen across all applications, because a lot of people now have a lot of SaaS applications, like they've got Dynamics, they've got Office 365, they've got Salesforce, they've got something else, like 5 different. And if you can turn that on in every single application, the better it is.
I suppose it would be very hard to hack two-factor authentication, wouldn't it? Because that person will need access to your phone as well as your PC, I imagine.
It's harder, but a good hacker could crack anything, Ed. So I always say, with security, it's never 100%, but you plan. Just like I said previously in one of the first questions, you asked me, plan, plan, and plan. So I reckon it's better than having anything else.
Yeah. I remember when I was in the army a long time ago, the way they used to describe security, be it online or physical security, was you can never ever be 100%. But the idea is you make it so big, no one will either bother attacking you. So security is more of a deterrent. It doesn't actually stop people getting in, if that logic makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny. Security is like that, right? It's all about planning for the worst case. And frankly, security is one of those aspects where you do that. But if you think about any aspect of your business, Ed, or any aspect of life, if you go through that planning process, you've thought about the worst case scenarios already. So when something bad happens, you may not have the exact answer, but you've been through so many scenarios that you're somewhat mentally ready.
Oh, very well said. Now, I want to go into LinkedIn for the moment, because I got to say, you've become quite a well-known global influencer on LinkedIn. We've got a lot of our buddies from Microsoft that watch you.
Yes.
What's that journey been like? How did you become an influencer on LinkedIn, and what have been the results of that for you?
I don't know if I'm very humbled that you call me an influencer.
Oh, you are? And it's not just me saying that. It's not just Edward's ear saying that. There are a lot of very smart people who see you as a powerful influencer. I love your humbleness. However, you're incorrect. You are an influencer.
Very sweet. Thank you, Ed. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a really enjoyable journey. It's hard work for those of whoever's considering that. It's like anything in life, it's consistency, right? Ed, I mean, you wouldn't have the fitness levels that you have if you didn't go to the gym consistently. So LinkedIn is no different. It's consistency. And it's a journey for me that I've enjoyed. Funny, secretly, I've always wanted a platform where I could make an impact to millions of people. I've always wanted that, Ed. I've always wanted to inspire and motivate people in whatever little way I could. So I sometimes almost tear up that I found this platform, because it gives me that ability to make an impact to people in all over the world. It's not just Australia, right? Like I've got people in India, like lots of people who write beautiful notes to me that makes me want to I get emotional when I think about it, because some of the thank yous, like I shared, for example, my journey there was a video that I made called My Invisible Illness, or my journey with my invisible illness. And I've got an autoimmune condition. And when I made that video and released it, got thousands of views, and I had a lot of private notes and messages asking, what did you do? How did you get over it? And not that I'm completely over it, but they asked me, what did you do? Because I'm crippled, I can't move, I'm young, and I've been hit with this. What can I do, Maria? What have you? And it's such a privilege, Ed. It's a privilege to be able to share that with people, because it took me a year and a bit to actually research and find the information. And if I'm able to give that away on a platform like this, I'm very, very lucky. So that's how I see it. From a professional perspective as well, I'm able to share all of the knowledge. I mean, gone are the days where people say knowledge is power. I do not believe in that at all. I think you need to give it all away, because then you become better as a person, both professionally and personally. There's nothing that I hide or keep away, either from our customers or from that platform. I'm quite open to sharing. And when you give that much value, it's an absolute pleasure. And we're in such a privileged position and country that we live in Australia. How could I not, Ed?
Oh, it's amazing. So it's been amazing. So you've become an influencer, not just talking about your incredible business and your team and Microsoft. However, and it's just understand, what is your, I know this off camera for the sake of our audience. Can you tell us a bit more about your condition? I'd love to hear more about it.
Sure. I was diagnosed, it's going to be 2 years in July, with an autoimmune condition called rheumatoid arthritis. And as I've shared with a number of people, it's not that I was an unfit person or an unhealthy person by any means. That was part of the mental thing that I had to deal with. I used to go to the gym very regularly. I got into CrossFit. I did, things like F45. I was a crazy person. Like I used to do fitness like a crazy person. I did my local Tough Mudder type 1, where I did half a marathon and 55 obstacles. So I went from that to one day when I was crawling on the gym on core 9, one of the things I was crawling under, and suddenly my knee started to hurt. So anyway, long story short, I was diagnosed after a couple of doctor's visits with this, and I was devastated, Ed. it's debilitating if you let it be, but it's been a real lesson for me and a blessing. I know that sounds weird. I think it was my body, and if you do believe in a higher power, whether that's a universe or something else, it was teaching me to slow down and to take care of myself, to be present with everybody, really present, and also to realize it, in a way, it actually prepared me for COVID, because you have no idea what could happen and something could change your life in a split second. So it's been good. I'm fine now. There were when I was first diagnosed, there was a couple of months where I could barely walk. I couldn't do the basics of things because it impact your joints. So I couldn't open a bottle of water. I couldn't put my seatbelt on. So there were several times where I could have just thrown the towel in, but luckily I've been blessed with some serious mental toughness. So yeah. that kind of came in handy. I think being in business prepared me for this.
What's the pain like? So let's say you're opening a jar. Like, what does it actually? I've never had it. So someone who's never had arthritis, what does the actual pain feel like? What kind of pain is it?
It's sharp. You just can't do it. So arthritis, you've got several, right? You've got osteoarthritis, which comes with wear and tear as you age. Rheumatoid arthritis is some that you can get even as a child. So I joined a group, an online community with people, and there are people as young as 6 months old and 10-month-old babies who could develop this because it's an autoimmune condition. It's very different to arthritis. So it impacts the joints and you get swelling in it. And in the olden days when they didn't have treatment, your hands would actually literally end up like that, like a claw, if you let it be. So you get swelling in all of your joints, including your fingers, every joint in the body. If you can think of your bigger joints like your neck, everything can get impacted. Wow. So it's so sore, you could barely. So if with the knees, I couldn't walk because it was so sore. I don't know. It's like sharp pain. It's for some people, and luckily I didn't get that bad, but it was bad enough that I couldn't walk. It's like having glass in some cases.
Wow. So, and you've been beating it. Again, we're talking about this off camera. Yes. How have you been beating rheumatoid arthritis?
Oh, it's experimentation, to be honest. I one of the lessons again in this, same lesson in business, there is no one size fits all solution. You have to work out what works for you. And it's interesting. I always draw the parallel between this and business, but really there isn't a solution that fixes it. So I've had to try different things. I was vegan for about a couple of years. For me, one thing for sure that had made a difference is dairy. Dairy is not good when you have inflammation in the body. It's not been fantastic. As much as possible, I haven't touched red meat in over 2 years now. The best I have is fish, but I've stayed away from everything else that's animal product. I'm not saying, by the way, that that's the answer for everybody. I'm just sharing with you what's worked for me. And lots of water, exercise, yoga has been a savior. Again, for a person like me, I'm an engineer by trade, so I studied engineering, right? So when you think about meditation and yoga, you just think it's one of those woo-woo things, because I'm a science head. So it took me a while to accept that all of these things could truly make a difference. So meditation has made a difference, yoga, and I've just got a yoga teacher on board. There was one day when she did a couple of things and I did a couple of sessions, and the pain in my knee just disappeared and I completely freaked out. And I thought it possibly can't be the yoga, but it actually was.
Well, as I was saying before, as you know, I love India. Indian food's my favorite. I'm a huge, even though I come from a Persian background, I think India's awesome. I mean, the Indians, they figured this all out before Christ, like thousands of years before. They figured out yoga's good for the body. They figured out meditation and intermittent fasting, all the trendy stuff we're doing now, discovered by scientists. They all cracked that like 4,000 to 6,000 years ago.
Oh, and the breathing too, right? You've heard of breath work. That's also become an in thing at the moment. Everybody talks about breath work and breathing, which is all part of yoga. That's also all Indian from hundreds of thousands of years ago. It's like I'm going back to my roots, but I'm going back to it in Australia. So my teachers are not Indian.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Just for the sake of the audience, even though, and we make this running joke, you have an Italian sounding name and you could pass for a Sicilian, but you actually come from an Indian background. I know we have this running game.
I do. Yes, absolutely. I could be mistaken for anything, including Spanish. So.
Yeah, just for the sake of the audience, when I met Maria, as Maria and I were becoming friends for a very long time, I thought Maria was like Sicilian or Latino or something. And she goes, one day I'm Indian. And I go, really? Anyway, it's really funny. Yes. But I was going to say that it's just funny though, because I've got a foot in Indian culture. I think it's awesome, right? And I just think it's amazing how the stuff they cracked thousands and thousands of years ago is all being vindicated by modern science. And, and I'm glad it's working for you. And I'm not surprised because I've actually spoken to quite a few people who've suffered from rheumatoid arthritis. You're not the first one to say yoga's good for that. I'm not a scientist. I don't know data on this, but I've heard that from at least 5 sufferers directly.
Oh, absolutely. And funny enough, it's not just for this. Yoga and meditation are helpful for anything. I mean, for a lot of people who are going through a lot of stress, unexpected stress with COVID, I mean, if you're open to it, I would really highly recommend meditation. And people think of meditation as something where you sit for 1 hour and do nothing. You can actually there are days when I just do an 8 to 10 minute meditation. You don't have to be a yogi. Very few of us get there because that takes a lot of discipline and mental and stillness, which is very, very challenging. But if you could just start with a 5, 3, 8 minute meditation, that's just literally staying still. Okay. And that prepares you for a crazy day at business, because I couldn't achieve or get to where we are without all of that, because you need to slow down to speed up. That's a big lesson for me.
Oh, this is impressive. And I was going to say, Maria, as we start bringing this epic interview to its wonderful conclusion, I just want to ask you, what are some of your top tips to people out there to really survive coming into our new post-corona world?
It's something that I've heard several times, and I'm pretty sure you've said it too, Ed. It's to double down on all of your efforts. A lot of people start cost cutting, which I know is really, really critical, but be careful where you slash your costs. For us personally, marketing has gone through the roof, and that's where we're investing. We're investing in our customers. Please don't forget your existing customers. You wouldn't be where you are today without them. So invest in them. So yes, invest in getting new business, but really invest in the relationships that you have today is what I would say. And also invest in, from a technology perspective, or not just because I'm in technology, but really take this time to look at what could you make much more efficient in your business so that you don't need a human being to be doing boring work, because now it's going to become more important to keep your staff and your team happy. So get them doing tasks that will actually help them grow, as opposed to doing those mundane tasks. And really have a look at your business. I know the word pivot gets thrown around. It's sometimes frustrating when you hear it, but really take stock of where you're at in business. And there is no shame in making change or getting away and moving away from what you're doing into something new. You're not a failure if you choose to do that. In fact, you're pretty smart to actually consider that and make that change. Because I know emotionally, as an entrepreneur or as a business leader, you could get attached, but just let that attachment go and just go with the flow. And also, please don't beat yourself up, because I have done that time and time again. And all of us are going through this. I mean, one of the things with COVID is that it's really leveled the playing field for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you were a $100 million business or a $1 million or a $10 or a $50 million business, we're all there. So it's really leveled up. So just don't beat yourself up and plan, but really double down and go for it. Don't give up. That's my biggest thing. You only fail if you give up.
Oh, Maria, that's very well said. I've got to say, I love your amazing thoughts of wisdom. Maria, how can people get in contact with you?
Good point. So they could reach me on my email address, which I will give out. I know this is going to go, maybe I shouldn't. Well, actually, the website is probably a good place to start. www.digitalarmor.com.au, and my email address is maria@digitalarmor.com.au. So the name of our business is Digital Armor.
Got it. I like it. So digital as an armor, like a knight's armor or body armor.
That's ARMOUR. That's exactly right.
The British Australian spelling, not the American. We've got a U.
Oh, we've got a U in it. That's exactly right.
We're not armor, we're armor almost. There you go. Got the U in there. So remember that.
I've been asked that several times, Ed.
We love our American viewers. Thank you. We add U's to everything. It's just a British thing, British Australian thing that we do.
Absolutely.
Pleasure. And of course, as well, I presume they can also add you on the best social media platform on the planet, owned by Microsoft.
How could I forget? That's right. I'm on LinkedIn.
Yes.
The most important platform, Ed. it's M Padisetti, but you'll find my name is very unusual. So if you search for Maria Padisetti, and I'm sure you'll post the name somewhere in this link, they can find me quite easily, because I think I'm the only person with that name combination. So,
Well, there you go. It's a great name. It's as I said, I thought you were a Sicilian or from, I don't know, Southern Italy or something. And
well, every time I go to LA, they speak to me in Spanish. So you're not the only one.
okay.
I have Uber drivers who keep texting me and messaging me. And even when they see me, they start talking in Spanish. So you're okay, Ed.
Okay. I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool. Now, I'm going to say it's an absolute pleasure, Maria, and to our wonderful viewers and fans around the world. You've seen it here on an international interview with Edward. Maria's a powerhouse lady, friends of Microsoft and LinkedIn, very well connected, so make sure you get in contact with her. Maria, I'd love to give you the final word. I just want to say thank you on behalf of myself and the audience. Final word to you.
Oh, thank you very much. I just want to end with gratitude. It's something that's gotten closer to my heart even more now. Gratitude for having met you, Ed. Gratitude for this platform. I'm very grateful to the LinkedIn platform and grateful to my team. I wouldn't be or as an organization, we wouldn't be who we are today if it wasn't for the fantastic team that I have. And finally, for the family and this platform. Again, thank you very much. Gratitude, much gratitude.